Well, we started out in the middle of the week with a quality win. Hogan Harris came back and looked really good. That was a very good sign coming off the oblique strain he had. We were able to run his pitch count up to, I think, around 65. So that was good to try to build some more stamina for him. When he went down hurt at Texas, he was only at about the 45 pitch mark. So he hadn't had his ramp up like a lot of these other pitchers have. They had time to get to 75 and to 90 and everything else, but he hadn't had that time. So it was good for him to be able to ramp him up to 65. Now we'll be able to hopefully do it a little bit more, get him at least back up to that again for his second ramp up tomorrow against Southern Miss. Then from there, going into the weekend, we got 3 outs on Thursday. We should have closed out that game. We let that lead get away from us. Again, no trophies for shoulda, woulda, coulda, but we had game 1 under wraps. We just let it get away from us. Game 2, we got behind early. Just one of those games we just didn't do anything. Didn't really pitch, didn't really hit, and didn't field as good as we normally do. And it was one of those that you can get into sometime throughout the season. You hate to do it on a weekend. I'd much rather see that in the middle of the week than on a weekend. But you got to try to be able to come back from that the next day. We were able to come back, and Schmitty pitched really well for us to win on Saturday. Guys had Easter Sunday off, which was good to get a little bit of a rest. We'll pull out today, probably the next 2 hours, and head down to Southern Miss. This would be 2 tough games for us on the road. This is a good baseball team. They're very physical. They got, I think, almost 30 home runs already. So they swing the bat really well. We're going to have to really pitch and play defense. And our hitters have been hitting better, which is good. We're going to need that this weekend and this week. But we swung the bat 2 out of 3 games, enough to win 2 out of 3. We really need to get back to trying to get consistent pitching performances. I think the hitters are swinging the bat better now. I think our defense has been good all year. So that's an important thing for us. So these 2 games will be a big challenge for us, and then we're back here on Wednesday late. We'll try to work out light on Thursday, and then ready for UTA for the weekend. We'll go to the night game on Saturday, like Jeff said. We'll flip the rotation to Schmitty now. We were trying to get him back up, get him the Friday, but we couldn't last week because of the early week because of Easter. Now we'll be able to flip him back up to Friday. He's been our most consistent arm so far, so hopefully realigning him on Friday night is going to help us. And now that our hitters are swinging the bat better, hopefully we can carry that into these two midweek games and then onto the weekend against UTA. So I open up the floor for questions you might have.
Who starts Saturday and who starts Sunday?
Saturday's going to be Burke, and then Sunday's going to be to be determined right now. Yeah, we think it'll be Nick, but we're just leaving it open.
And you mentioned Hogan's going to throw again. Is he going to start tomorrow? And then what's the
yeah, he's starting tomorrow.
Pitching plan for midweek.
Well, he's starting tomorrow, and he's going to have a regular start. Yeah, it'll be a regular start for him.
And you're going to follow up with on Wednesday.
On Wednesdays to be determined. Okay. Yeah, we'll be TBA. After we get through Tuesday, we'll be able to see, it's going to potentially be Austin Perrin, but we just want to make sure. We'll see what happens on Tuesday and then decide what we want to do on Wednesday.
What does it say that Schmidt has worked his way, not just up in the weekend rotation, but from midweek to Friday?
Well, again, I don't think we ever had a midweek arm. I think people just refer to people as midweek arms. But in the fall, the other guys had pitched really well. They deserved to go out in the order that they went out with. And, last year he was out. He was out all fall. He was out almost 3/4 of the season. And he had to regain kind of back some of his status, and in the fall he came back and threw well, but the other guys had thrown better. So when we lined it up how we saw it coming out of the fall. He just happened to fall in the midweek, but But out of fairness, sometimes the midweek games are the best RPI games a lot of times too. So we always try to stay away from them thinking that a midweek arm is not a good arm. As you can tell, he is a good arm. And so he's done very well off his oblique and his issue he had all fall and last spring. And now he's gotten very, very consistent. So because of that, we're going to flip him up to Friday. So, you know, but somebody will end up having to pitch in the midweek. I mean, you look at a guy like Hogan Harris. I mean, that's a premium arm, but he's throwing in the midweek right now. So he's done a great job of kind of just staying the course and taking his midweek games, and we've been very good in midweek games, and a lot of that is because of him. They believe they can win when he takes the mound.
As you get later into the season, will the midweek games take on any less importance compared to?
I think you have to be careful.
Because in terms of positioning for the.
Yeah, I think you have to be careful. You know, we want to hurry up and get Hogan's pitch count up one more time, and then we'll see what we're going to do with him the following weekend. But you're right. I think we got to be careful in the midweeks leading into the weekend to make sure that the pitching rotation's lined up properly and the arms are set up properly for the weekend. Yep.
Coach, can you kind of talk about Gavin Bourgeois? He's been your most consistent hitter to date, and what he brings, every single day of practice and in game situations.
Well, we saw that in the fall with him. He comes from LSU Junior College, and he played very well there for Coach Willis, and he's kind of what we refer to as us. We like playing the way he plays. He's a hard-nosed kid. He wasn't out playing a bunch of select baseball and stuff. I mean, he worked during the summers. He's just a hard-nosed kid, and I think it's showing. He shows up every day, and what we like about him, he's the same player every day. You don't have to worry about his feelings. He comes to the yard every day prepared. He had a very good fall for us. We saw that, and he's just a hard-nosed, hard-working kid, and a kid that likes to just compete and play hard every day. And I think the game's paying him back because that's what he does. He keeps his mouth shut, and he works hard every day.
This team has performed really well in the midweek, a couple wins against LSU and others. Is it frustrating at all that this team shows its potential in the midweek, but then it doesn't always translate to the weekend?
Well, I don't think that's the issue for me. I think the issue is we get very consistent pitching in the middle of the week. And that's what makes you a good baseball team. I hate saying it again to be redundant, but it starts with pitching, and you play defense behind the pitching, and you get timely hitting. And that model has shown up consistently during the week, and a lot of that credit goes to Schmitty. When Gunnar went out on Friday night, we were a very good baseball team. Why? Because he was consistent. I've always said this, any team can hide behind good pitching, because that's where it starts and it stops, even at the big league level. So we haven't been as consistent with the pitching on the weekends. That's really we're hitting better. So our batting average is going up, but so did our ERA. So we've got the games we get the ERA down on. Like Friday night, Jack pitched well. Well, we're 3 outs away from winning it. Now, we just didn't finish it, but we were 3 outs from winning it because we got a consistent pitching performance. Sunday, we got a consistent pitching performance, so we actually won that one. So Schmitty has really helped us in those midweek games because he's been so consistent. And that's kind of why we've been so good in the middle of the week. We get good pitching, get good starting pitching. So that's the key to us or any team, is to get good starting pitching. So hopefully with him on Friday, we can get out and try to get that first game won. I think I said it at the beginning of the year, because Gunnar wasn't going to be here. It was no longer a 2-game series. When Gunnar pitched, it was a 2-game series. It wasn't a 3-game series. You're just worried about the next 2. He kept you out of your bullpen. Schmitty keeps you out of your bullpen. Schmitty does a lot of good things because he's been the most consistent. So I think to solve the weekend, I think Smitty's going to help us because he's going to go to Friday, which hopefully will, help us get that first game under our belt. Then you've got 2 games to win 1. That's the best position you ever want to be in. And we haven't been in that position. We've been, we get dumped a lot on Friday, and then now you got to win 2 in a row, and we haven't been real consistent to be able to win 2 in a row. So I think Smitty's the big reason we've been so good in the middle of the week. Hopefully he can translate that into Friday. We can try to get Friday's game under our belt. Now you've got 2 games to win 2. But we just need to get back 3 good, consistent pitching performances on the weekend.
I know you draw motivation from various places. Do you take anything like the women's national championship last night, Notre Dame hit the game-winning shot, or even with the national championship tonight, and show to your team, for example, in a way?
Well, I mean, I just think the things that we take away from certain things is just how the game is set up. It's why you have to stay on a process. I mean, you look at UConn, they lose 2 games in 2 years. I mean, so he doesn't get out of the Final Four or whatever. So is he a dumb coach? I mean, guy lost 2 games in 2 years, right? So I say this all the time. You cannot pick and choose the games you lose, because I don't think he would have picked that game to lose. I really don't. I really think he'd have picked one early in the year. The problem is in this business is you can't pick and choose the games you lose, but you can pick and choose how do you respond from it. And that's what I respect in what he's done, because last year it happened to him, but he got back again. Now it's happened again, supposedly. So, will their whole program get shattered over 1 loss? I don't think so, right? Because of how they're going to respond to it. And it also shows you just how tough this game is. I mean, in sport, I mean, you can be as good as they were for so long, and then somebody hits 1 shot at the end. So you don't have to be ranked number 1 to be number 1. That's what I also like about sport. But not, we watched the game. I think one of them was on the bus on the way back. That was playing, might have even been the men. But we draw a little bit from other things that are happening out there. But the biggest thing we try to draw off of is how tough something is, why you have to stay on the process and not on the result. And sometimes it's just a game. It can happen. Somebody took a jump shot and it went in at the buzzer. We also take away being good at the most critical time of the game. In our game, you can be 0 for 3, but you could be hitting with the game on the line. So now just be good in the most critical time of the game. And when you see those buzzer beaters like that, that person was good when it mattered. And so, yeah, we do draw some things from other events that are happening around us. But mostly it's about really how do you respond, because that's the key to all of this is just how do you respond now. Because, again, you can't pick and choose the games you win or you lose. I would be picking to lose more midweek games than weekend games. But you have to solve the issues that are in front of us. And right now, we just got to get back to getting our ERA down on the weekend.
Building off of that,
yeah.
The way things happened this weekend, still looking for that first series win. Where's the mental makeup of this ball club?
Well, I mean, they hopefully, you never fully know where they're at. You hope to know where they're at. I think the rest came good yesterday for us, but we got 2 more tough games Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't think they're going to quit. I think they understand what's in front of them. And at the end of the day, I think that they just stay on the process and keep, like I said, keep the old blinders, on the mule, and don't look left and right, and don't believe you have to become what the outside world tells you you are. And long as they can stay doing that, I think they can continue to grow. We're getting better. I think it's hitting. The hitters are collectively getting better. I just think that's all we got to do is get back to being consistent on the pitching side of things, and hopefully with Smitty on Friday, I think it's going to help us. but right now, I don't see any quitters. There's nobody knocking on the door saying I'm out. You know, they're all in, and we're going to stay fighting and continue to do the things that we've got to do to try to get better. And so what if you know, like I told them that day, if the record's a little ugly or whatever the case may be, you know, stay on the process. Stay on the process. Get off results. The results aren't as good as the way we'd like them to be, but we have to stay on the process. And right now, they've been able to do that. They could have cashed in their chips after Saturday or Friday's game, going into Saturday, but they didn't. So long as they can do that and not cash their chips in, I think we got a chance to get this done.
Tony, in 2003, your team started 9-21, and you wound up 30-30, and you were playing for a conference championship in the final weekend. 2010, you were 3-6 in conference play, just like you are now, and you dogpiled in Monroe on the final night, celebrating a championship.
Mm-hmm.
Are you able to take things like that to present to your club, just to remind them that this thing can turn around?
We do use that to help them, but the biggest thing that we're trying to continue to teach with those examples is to prove that there's been a track record that you can do that, and two, you know, I mean, Mike Trout, I think, started the season 0 for 13. I think. I mean, oh my God, I mean, is he not a good player anymore? It's something to write about. But at the end of the day, you've got to stay on a process, but the world's result-oriented, everybody's result-oriented, and the biggest thing that we're trying to get them to understand is that don't let somebody else's perception become your reality, because when you start to believe you can't hit because they tell you you can't hit, or that you can't win this because they think you can't win it, you know, you've got to stay focused on what you can accomplish. And so, yeah, we use some of that. Those teams, what they were good at, they didn't listen to the outside world, and they didn't let the outside world tell them, you know, who they can become, and I think that's important. You don't know why you're going through what you're going through, but you got to stay on the process, and the guys have been doing a good job with that. The things that we've been deficient in, they're working on. They're trying to get better. But a lot of things can happen if you don't let the outside world tell you, you know, who you are. And I think that those teams were successful not because somebody, you know, sprayed some magical dust on them. They just didn't listen to the outside world. They kept their blinders on the old mule, and that's what they have to do. And I think they're doing a good job of that right now. Like I said, I saw the last, you know, game. They were able to come back and pitch good, play good defense, get timely hitting. We just have to be able to reciprocate that more and more, especially on the weekend. But yeah, we do talk to them about some of the past. Yes.
Stokey, health-wise, soreness, is he available this week? And then any update on?
I won't know about Stokey till we get there. He had a little tenderness in his shoulder, so precautionary. We just held him out for the weekend. We don't think it's anything serious. I mean, we don't know. Brian's, you know, checking today since we've got back from the road. So we'll know a little bit more about him over the next day or so. Handsome still where he's been. Caleb Armstrong, the inning that he worked in, he came up with a sore elbow that's being checked out. He is a former Tommy Johner, so we'll know a little bit more about that. And of course, the pitch that Tremaine took to his face, I'm sure he'll be out all year. I think he'll be done. We'll probably file for medical hardship on him because he's got some broken bones in there. He went through a lot that night, you know, getting hit in the face like that and seeing his teeth in the batter's box is not a fun thing to do, and blood coming out your nose and your mouth. But we're so fortunate. I really thank Brian and their training people over there too that really helped us. Their doctors. Mike Hill was there, who traveled, one of our fans. I appreciate what he did. He put him in his car and we were able to get him to the hospital. He stayed in the emergency room for a very long time. Thank God he could see. That was our number one worry, is that he'd be able to see. When something like that happens, you know, teeth are fixable, bones are fixable, but eyesight's very hard to fix. And you never know what you're going to get when you get there and their face is down. You know, I had one kid that, you know, got hit in the face one time. We got there, his whole face had fallen. They had to put a steel plate back in his face. So you don't know what happens when you get there. You hear the noise of it hit him and the crack of something, but you don't. The odds are, you know, that's a bone that's cracking or the flap on the helmet that broke, one of the two. And we got there, and you know, you could tell that there was going to be some broken bones, and then 2 teeth were out. So I really thank Mike and their medical staff, because to save his teeth, he had to go through root canals. So the dentist up there was doing root canals at 4 in the morning on him. So if you think you've never had you got it tough. That guy's face was on the other side of his face. It was so swollen. He had broken bones in his cheek and stuff, and then root canals at 4 in the morning, and not get back to the hotel, and then have to sit through another 9-inning game the next day with your face that way, and then get on a bus and ride 9.5 hours on the way back with that is just unbelievable. You know, I know he was on medication and everything else, but he's very, very swollen. He'll stay behind today and the next couple days, because he has to be looked at again with the dentist and with the orthopedic now, to see what are we going to do with the bones that are potentially broken up here. So he'll be out for the rest of the year. So we'll just, you know, keep moving. No matter how tough things get, you keep moving. So I'm just thankful for him that he did not lose any eyesight, and thankful to all their medical staff up there, the dentists, the doctors at Arkansas State, and then Mike Hill for taking the time to take him everywhere he needed to go, and stand with him until we finally got him back to the hotel early that morning.